Hello, everyone. This is Bill Apter, and I just finished taping an episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler, or Tyler and Mike. They're brilliant hosts. You've got to listen. You've got to see. Count It Out. Yeah, I endorse it. They've got the After Chat seal of approval.
This is the visionary Von Vertigo, and you're listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pals. Welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Sealed of Approved Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and I am joined, as always, by the little teacup over there, Mike.
Piece of shit.
And I will explain that in a minute. But before I do that, I need to introduce our very special guest today. On the fly, just shooting the shit, and we decided, hey man, we're just talking, come and do the show with us. It is returning guests, like you're going to be a regular soon. Our good friend from over at the Titantron, over at the Classic Match Classroom, Turnbuckle Tavern. He is the man of 1,000 podcasts. Take that, D. Malenko. Anthony, what's going on, bro?
I'm taking that name. That is officially my new nickname. But yeah, I'm so happy to be back. Looking forward to doing another one of these episodes. And thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you Canadians.
That means I got some Lionheart gear and come out with 1,004 podcasts.
Well, we're bringing you back, Anthony, because you're over as hell. You popped the rating for us there, and we're going to pull the classic wrestling thing and keep bringing you back till you don't draw anymore, brother. That's how we do it here.
Why do we keep bringing you back?
I am not a draw. If you look at our numbers, Mike outdraws me every week.
Why do you think we put Anthony on weeks where it's my list? It's a double draw.
I know. I need the help, man.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get into this in a bit here. Mike this week is counting down the top 7 worst gimmick matches of all time. Everything's on the fly this week. I just found out we're changing our list an hour ago. This is how we roll, man. Shit's crazy, and shit was crazy last weekend at Barrie Wrestling. Wow. By the time this airs, if you check out our Instagram page at countitout7.com, you're going to see some real cool footage here. Man, we got roughed around a little bit, eh, buddy?
Yeah, man. Let's jump right into it. Well, let's get to our part, because it's the most important part. We were there rooting our boy. You know,
right.
Friend of the show, Holden Albright. He was in a Nightmare Before Christmas match, which was just a hardcore match. And Corey Stone, who he's been feuding with for months now.
Yeah, I got a pick with Corey Stone.
And Corey kind of got in our faces a bit.
Yeah,
he ruined our merchandise, threw our merchandise off the table. We're up a bit.
He pushed me against the wall. He's lucky. I was just about to knock him out, and he just got the first shot in. You know what I mean? I was getting ready.
I'm gonna be fully honest. I shit my pants and then jumped back like this.
Yeah, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
I probably should have done that instead of jumped up and got into Corey Stone's face. I'm 6'1". Corey, I would say, is probably 6'6",
6'4" at that.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Well,
Corey's a big dude. Let's tear down the fourth wall for a second. Let's go against kayfabe. Corey's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. All right?
He's super cool.
Corey was so gracious and so awesome to work with here. When he walked over from that ring to where we are, I forget his work name to be, or I forget his real name to be perfectly honest. I'm sorry. But that guy ceased to exist, and Corey Stone was standing in front, and I was scared shitless.
Yeah, Anthony, you gotta see this guy, man. He's awesome.
He was in full character. He was scary. As much as I can say he's the sweetest guy in the world, yeah, I could have believed he was going to murder us.
Just for people that don't know who Corey is, because I know we have a lot of listeners that are in the United States there. Anthony, the best way to describe Corey is like a taller version of Dexter Loomis. I think that's a good
Yeah.
way to put
Ooh.
it.
That's
He's
a
got
great way to
that
put
like
it.
kind of insane asylum psycho character
Very,
to him.
very cold, dead eyes. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So-
and you stood up to him, Tyler? What the
I
fuck?
bowed up. I don't know what I was thinking. I bowed up. I've now been in 2 fights in my entire life. I am 0 for 2. The last one, I suffered a great defeat in grade 6. I did not do well there. I got punched in the face with a hockey blocker by a person in grade 8. I always seem to pick on people that are bigger than me, apparently. Shit.
Well, he tried to ruin our merchandise table that Tyler and I bought for $50.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute.
Hoist
Anthony
owes us $50.
You know what? It's really hard to find a wooden table. They don't sell them anymore. They're all gone to plastic, right? So how far back do you want to, are we going to peel the curtain back here, Mike? What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do it. It's fun. It's too fun not to. There's too good of stories to not do this. Let's say what happened first, and then we'll peel back the curtain. So if you haven't seen the video, Corey comes over, he grabs the table, rips it away from us, brings it into the ring. The match continues. Bolton ends up using it against him. What was it, like a Death Valley Driver?
Death Valley Driver. He hit him with through the table. Broke perfectly. Good job, Wilson.
Death Valley Driver, by the way. You see the way Holden puts his entire body into it? Love it. So he threw Corey through that table. It exploded. It was amazing. But there's a lot that goes into that.
I don't want to give I don't want to give everything away. I want to leave a little bit to the imagination there.
All
but obviously we knew there was a spot coming. At last month's show, Corey and Holden have been working a program, Anthony, for about 3 months, coming into their 4th month now. And the blow off was going to be a hardcore match. And I just kind of went over to the promoter, Sean, and I was like, hey, we have a table that's every month. Just putting it in your head, if you want to use it, Yeah. And everyone seemed to like the idea. So we were just hoping to get a little element of surprise there. Corey was a true professional. He took care of me. I don't want to give away everything. I don't want to give away everything.
I'm not going to give away everything. Here's what I will give away. Now, yes, we rent a table every month at Barrie Wrestling, but they provide the table.
Mm-hmm.
However, since we knew this table was going to get destroyed, we're not going to use, because the tables they give us are not theirs. It belongs to the venue.
Right.
So in order for this spot to happen, we had to provide a table. How easy do you think it is in 2021 to find a wooden fucking table? Man, we were on Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, you name it, calling stores like Tyler was driving everywhere day of.
I went to like 9 stores the day before the show. They didn't have any. We finally found one on Facebook Marketplace.
He's an idiot because he did tell me 2 weeks in advance he had a table.
No, we don't need to talk about that.
But it was a fucking plastic table with iron rod right down the middle.
Oh, God.
It's my first time. I don't want to give away too much more, but I do want to just give a very special shout out to Wilson, who was the MVP to help us with all this as well.
Oh, he did help us out
Wilson's
big time.
the man.
And of course to Brendan, aka Holden Albright, and to Corey Stone for just for letting us be a small part in your amazing story.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. You really helped us live out a lifelong dream for sure. For me, I'm sure I can speak on behalf of you there, Mike. That was pretty cool.
100%.
Also thanks to Ricky Morton for teaching me how to sell so good, because
Adam told me he gave you a 6 out of 10 on your sell, by the way.
I'll take that.
No,
I'll take a 6 out of 10.
That's a pass.
Buddy, we were working the crowd. My mom thought it was real. My mom was like, "Oh my God, he threw
Tell
you."
Anthony, how many people came up to you asking you if you were okay?
And
and
like
if it
a
was
bunch
planned,
of people.
If it was real.
A bunch of people came up to me and were like, "You okay, man? How's your head? How's your
No,
head?"
and not only like obvious marks too, like people who work at the venue. like the lady selling the pizza.
Ricky, yeah,
I
love her.
Show.
She's
She
the best.
knows shit. Yeah,
She's the best. She's such a nice
All right,
lady.
so let's quickly run through some of our favorites of the show before Anthony falls asleep here. I want to talk about. We're going to talk about Puff and Ricky last, because that's going to segue into me telling why we're doing this list tonight. Everything else, let's talk about it, man. What were the highlights of this show for you?
I don't want to run through the whole show because the whole thing
I
was
didn't
so
ask you
good
to run
from
through the
top.
whole show. You piece
Oh,
of shit. I
thanks.
asked you what your highlights were.
Well, if you wouldn't have cut me off, asshole, what I would have said was I don't want to run through the whole show because from top to bottom it was fucking fantastic. So I'll tell you the only thing that matters on the show is that our boy Clutch Jesse V, representing the countedout7.com block in the All Ontario Cup, which we proudly sponsored, took down the trophy. He is the man. He clobbered Lionel Knight, our good friend over at the Wrestling on the Rise podcast. Sorry, Rich, but it was Counted Out's day. It was Counted Out's day. Yeah, you can't see it. You got the background on, but yeah, I was very happy with that. Huge pop for there. Jesse was a cool guy. I've got a picture that I will probably put on the screen. It's probably already there because, and if not, I just got too tired to edit it in because it's late. So go to @CountedOut7 on Instagram to see that. Yeah, that was the highlight for me. And next to the Christmas match that you want to talk about.
Yeah, it was so phenomenal. Unfortunately, it was probably not the match they wanted. Lionel came in hurt to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what happened after that, if he got hurt again during the match or what. Because Lionel was set to wrestle the very next show, which was a few hours later for the main event. That didn't happen.
Yeah, he had a knee. He hurt his knee a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So right after his match with Jesse, our boy Wilson saw the promoter Sean help him out to his car. So Lionel was out. So it's unfortunately not the match that I think both Jesse and Lionel would have wanted to give us. But at the same time, it really worked for the story because Jesse beat everybody in that tournament.
Speak for yourself. Our boy clobbered him. Squash City, baby. Counted Out 7, represented strong. Let's go.
But it was a lot of fun. Other highlights, we're seeing Gabriel Fuerza win the Barrie Championship. Good for him. He's a favorite over here at Counted Out.
Vaughn Vertigo had a great match with Rip Impact. Happy birthday, Vaughn.
Two amazing names on the Ontario indie scene. Anthony, if you're not familiar with those names, go and Rip Impact. Go hit your Google machine, man. Those are names you should know coming out of our scene. Other names, I won't even talk about the match names coming out. The guys we get to spend. That's why I love Barrie Wrestling. We get to spend time with is like Mark Wheeler, who by all means should be a huge name anywhere. John Atlas, who no matter what happens to him, he's beaten cancer twice. He got shot and he's still wrestling for Barrie Wrestling. Wow. And not only is wrestling, it's in Barrie Wrestling and one of the best guys they got. We get to see some of the best wrestlers in Ontario every single week, and it's so amazing. Not just Ontario, even we get a lot of the Buffalo boys coming up.
That's right.
Young Jay Lee is his name.
Yeah,
Young
Isaiah
Jay
Prince,
Lee,
Puff.
Isaiah Prince, Puff.
Before you segue into Puff's match, I just also want to give a big shout out to our new best friend, Stephanie Warmack, who was awesome to get to meet. She was super cool too.
Seeing her boyfriend, Kurt Warmack, her husband or whatever it is, Warmack, finally wrestle. I've been wanting to see Kurt Warmack wrestle live for a long time.
Anthony, this guy looks like Ryback, but moves like a cruiserweight. He's fantastic as well. There's a lot of untapped talent on the independent scene in Ontario, man. I'm gonna point you in some of these directions, Anthony. Some of these guys to check out.
Well,
yeah, totally.
Hopefully, I hope we're not blowing anything. I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to give web pages away, but there's a good chance Barrie Wrestling is going to a very prominent streaming site.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, man, every single listener, including you, Anthony, I hope takes that and runs with it and watches Barrie Wrestling. Just like there's two promotions I cannot push enough. Barrie and C4 Wrestling, which is on IWTV.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see the best of that Ontario has to offer, Anthony, someone from the States, go to IWTV and check out C4 Wrestling. A lot of the guys from Barrie are on that show or on that promotion. So it'll give you an idea of what we get to see every week as well. Let's go. Speaking of the Buffalo Boys, let's go into one of my favorite matches on the card.
This is one of my favorite matches I've ever seen live in my entire life. I'm not lying. What was it called? The Nightmare on? No. That was Holden's one.
Brendan. This match, I believe, was just called a Christmas Death Match.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was they did everything a deathmatch does, except not. So they wrapped they covered the outside in like boxes of presents. They wrapped the ropes in Christmas lights, but every time the guys hit it, they sold it like it was fucking.
Yeah, like barbed wire was so funny.
I should proceed this by saying this was first and foremost a comedy match. Anybody going into this thinking it's a serious thing is an idiot. This was 100% like Chikara level fucking comedy. Right now, they're selling the Christmas lights like it's fucking razor sharp barbed wire. They've got rolls of wrapping paper that they're treating, that they've like I guess like baby
tubes.
Powder.
Yeah, they put baby powder and they're treating them like light tubes.
And they're treating it like light tubes. So every time you hit it, the powder comes out.
That's great.
They've got these confetti shooters that you might as well have been flamethrowers the way they were fucking selling.
It was so good.
It was beautiful. It was amazingly done. But then when you get now, anybody doesn't understand this story. Puff and Ricky go way back.
They used to be good friends.
Great friends. They used to be tag team champ. Then they had a falling out. They had a whole Ricky turned. They did a thing over the Three Pistols Championship. They've been feuding for quite a while now. This was going to be the blow off. So right when you're like, how is this going to end? Where are they going to go? Ricky's wrapped up in the barbed wire in the Christmas lights. Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas" starts blaring on the speakers, and just like the Grinch, Puff's heart grew.
Well, you missed the best part though, Mike. Is Puff had a knife and was like, "I am going to murder you."
Oh, I forgot about that.
And he turned around and stabbed the referee in the neck, who was dressed as an elf, and the referee, pretended to die.
And then he just yelled, and the ref, who we know, he's a dude named Brad. He turned around, he stabs the ref in the neck. Ref goes out, looks at, he goes, "There, Brad's dead." Just so stupid, so stupidly wonderful.
Was so good. I know it sounds crazy to talk, but it worked so well. And then Mariah Carey
comes on the stereo, and as he's about to stab Ricky, he's got this change of heart. His heart grows 2 sizes bigger. He drops the knife. He lets Ricky go. They hug. They start dancing, and then your attention goes to the entrance way. I can't get through this.
This is the best thing ever.
You see Santa Claus, Jesus Christ, and Turbo Man from Jingle All the Way. They make their way down to the ring. They all start dancing and shit, and they're having a great time. And then Puff and Pretty Ricky start throwing stunners.
Yes. Jesus took a stunner. Turbo Man took a stunner.
Turbo Man took a stunner. And then Santa doesn't take a stunner. Santa comes out with 2 tag team championship belts out of his sack. Pretty Ricky and Puff cover Jesus and Turbo Man. Brad comes over for 1, 2, 3, and now they're the new tag team champions.
Brad magically, the spirit of Christmas brought the referee back to life as well. The spirit of Christmas made him good.
Is that how they sold that?
Yeah. The spirit of Christmas. Once Mariah Carey came, they all had a big dance party. It was awesome. I know it sounds absolutely absurd.
It sounds ridiculous, and it is.
Sounds amazing.
It was good. I've got some video of the finish. I'll put it up on our YouTube page. I've got a little bit of video of a finish. I'll put
Barrie Wrestling's great for this because they don't do this all the time. It's not every show. It's not every match. It's every so often, and it works. They can fit it in, and you're like, okay, players, and then they'll go into a series. I think right after that, it was Jody Threat and Young Jay Lee.
Yeah, that was.
You know what I mean? Yeah, which was a great match. You know, they're really good with the consistency on that. They have something for everybody. It's phenomenal.
Just to put a bow on Barrie Wrestling here, on behalf of Mike and myself, just want to say a big thank you to everybody, all the crew there. They're like a big family. They take care of each other. They've made us feel welcome. They've helped us live out some lifelong goals. We've met some fantastic people, and I look forward to keep working with them in the future as well. So thank you, Sean Gibson. Thank you, Barrie Wrestling, at Barrie Wrestling on all social medias.
Now, I do want to mention before we go into our talking point here, the reason for the season tonight. being as Pretty Ricky and Puff had probably the greatest gimmick match I have seen in a very long time. This is why I'm doing the 7 worst gimmick matches. Because for every fucking for every Puff versus Ricky you get a Viagra on a pole match.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Tip in the cap.
So that's why we're doing this tonight.
Well, before we get to that, let's get into our talking point here, and I'm going to let Anthony start it off here, since we've just blabbered about Barrie Wrestling, which he's never seen a lick of before. So, the question that I'm posing tonight to you, gentlemen, is: does the world of professional wrestling rely too much on nostalgia? So, the way I thought about this, Mike, actually was when you told me about your gimmick match list, and I started thinking, the War Games pay-per-view was last night as we record this. So it was last weekend. When's the last time that there's been an original concept idea that's stuck around? I think of Elimination Chamber might be the last newest thing that's come around that has stayed and become a staple. But we are going back to the well all the time. Great American Bash, NXT does Halloween Havoc, AEW is doing Bash at the Beach. We're getting, every year WrestleMania season rolls around, we get which legends are coming back, Goldberg's and title pictures. They relied on the Undertaker a lot. Are we focusing too much on the past, gentlemen, and not focusing on the future and creating new things? Anthony, what's your take on this?
So I will say, because that's a really good point as far as like when was the last concept that stuck around. And you can make the argument for Elimination Chamber. You could even say Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank,
that was a few years after. But I think just the overall point is that it was a long time ago.
Yeah, Money in the Bank was WrestleMania 21. Elimination Chamber was in 2002.
Right. Yeah. After that, can't even think of anything. And I think maybe to your point is that what you're starting to see nowadays, as far as like recurring match types or whatever it may be, are all rooted in nostalgia. You have your recurring Legends nights, you have your surprise entrance from the past in the Royal Rumbles. You have all these different things, WrestleMania, these different names coming back. You don't really see like new things come up. So I would have to agree that I think wrestling is very reliant on nostalgia, but is that necessarily a bad thing if used correctly? No, because that gets in your viewers that you may have lost for the years. Some people who have grown up with the WWF or the WCW getting those tie-ins. An example of that I obviously never related to the Attitude Era, but one of the best kind of tie-ins with that era was from WrestleMania 31, where you had the NWO and DX. Now, mind you, it didn't really work out. Sting with the NWO was weird, but it was smart to include that. On WrestleMania, you have all those different names. It makes sense when you're throwing random legends all together just to pop on a random episode of Raw. That's where you start to have a problem. So right. I think they're starting to become a little over reliant, where they, I don't think AEW has anywhere near, started on legends at all.
The Owen Hart Memorial.
That's the only thing that I could really say, because outside of that, what else is there? And that's not necessarily relying on the past. More so it is just honoring one of the best technical wrestlers of all time.
I wish I could be that trusting in Tony Khan.
Yeah. I mean, with Owen, at least it's a different name that, I think WWE's got like their go-to guys, you know what I mean? When it comes to legends, your Goldbergs, your $1 Million Mans, you Hogan, get the same, your Hogan, you get guys. The same, you're not getting a different variety. AEW was doing it too before the lockdown, though. They were bringing out legends to wave to the crowd.
They did the whole ECW thing, right?
Right.
That whole thing in Philly.
Yeah, they did the ECW thing. They just had Baron Von Roski, but like they're using it as legends, not as draws.
Right. I think they're doing it in a way that still honors the legacies of those wrestlers. When you look at where
town dependent, right?
That's very true too, which I like. I love that Philly stuff. I thought it was great how they included that. Look at how the WWE does it. It's more along the lines of, like I said, just popping a rating, you know, Hulk Hogan's name value, $1 Million Man is name value. Whereas, you know, I just went back and did my research on the Hangman stuff for, you know, our upcoming list. And, you know, that whole FTR segment with the Brainbusters and Ricky Morton and Robert Gibbs.
Yeah.
This is my young mind coming into play here. But in a way, they still honor, you know, it wasn't, you know, oh, we're going to bring these legendary tag teams to get these ratings increased. No, they were like honoring tag team wrestling. And those people that you saw in the crowd, you know, it was kind of just splicing them in there, but still keeping that legacy behind them.
One thing I like about that angle too, though, is that they use the legend to get their talent over. They got FTR over as heels there because they laid out Rock and Roll Express. In the WWE, and I'm not trying to do WWE bashing here, and I hope it doesn't come off like that, but I think that they put the legends over the current talent a little too much, and I think it hurts their staying power. You know, Goldberg with Dolph Ziggler a few years at SummerSlam. I love the match. I thought it was perfect. I want to see Goldberg come out and spear a guy, but Ziggler's got to come back the next week. You know what I mean? When Goldberg does loses, he's losing to a guy like Drew McIntyre, who doesn't really need to beat a guy like Goldberg.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'd like to see
even tonight on Raw. You know, you just saw Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross. They just lost a match. They're backstage. Here comes a fan coming up to them, like, "Oh, can I have your autograph?" Nikki Cross is about to sign it. The camera pans over, and Jerry Lawler's sitting there because it's they're in Tennessee. So, you know, Jerry Lawler's not going to be there next week. It's going to be Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross, who you just took your tag team titles off of. So where do you go from there? So, you know, does a legend moment like that really help your stars at all? No. And I think that's the whole point of nostalgia, is to use that star power to elevate the people that you have now. And although I will bash on WWE for it, they just haven't done that at all. I think AEW has been doing it as close to perfect as they can at this point, as early as they are in the game.
Was that fan under the age of 18? Because I don't think Jerry's allowed to be there.
Jesus. Mike, let me ask you a question then. I want to switch over from the way that they're using actual legends to matches right now. Why? Okay, well, do you have a counterpoint you want to make first?
No, I'm glad because you kind of mentioned that in the beginning. So this is where I was going to ask your question, because I think you're going to what I want to say.
Yeah, why? You know, to me, I kind of look at gimmick matches now as I do a lot of movies where we're getting a lot of remakes, a lot of redos, and there's not a lot of originality anymore. Where's the originality? Why are no new gimmick matches either being made, or why are they not working?
Because it's not that they're not working now. It's like 99% of the time they never worked in the first place. And we're going to prove that with my list tonight. For every great gimmick you get, and this goes for matches, for characters, for pay-per-view ideas, for storylines, for every, like I hate to say it, but a lot of professional wrestling sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. And as fans, you have to admit that, right? So for every great gimmick match we get, there's 10 that suck balls and that we just kind of shove out of our memories.
But why are none of them new gimmick matches?
Because they're not coming out. None of them are good. All the good ones have been done. Yeah. Can you right now think of, like, if I gave you a week, I guarantee you could not think of a great gimmick match.
I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not of the mind. Like, I'm a wrestling fan, but this
is what I mean though.
People get paid to do this though.
It's like being a writer for a fucking animated TV show and try to do something The Simpsons hasn't already done.
Exactly. There's only so many ways that you could use a ladder, so many ways that you could use a table.
So then stop using ladders and tables and find something different.
Well, that's it. And try to and I agree with you, Tyler, but it's if you want the easiest answer for your question is because it's not as easy. It's easier said than done.
So, but it's been since, the only two matches that we can think about that have been created that have stuck recently that are like, staples in
It has
wrestling.
stuck because it's hard to make them
Is
stick,
money in
is what
money
I'm
in the
saying.
bank, money in the bank, and elimination chamber, right? Are those the
I don't
two
think
that
the answer is if you can't make new ones. I say, and this goes 100% against your point, and I get it. You're asking, about nostalgia. I'm a nostalgia fiend. I like nostalgia.
so do
But
I.
what is old can become new again.
Mhm.
So the things that, instead of, if you're having a hard time thinking of something new, go back and grab something you haven't done in 10 years. When was the last time we saw a good Buried Alive match?
One's, I don't know, 96.
You know what I mean?
There's
Go
only been
back.
one good Buried Alive match. Come on.
Rehash that idea, maybe.
But that's hokey. It doesn't work in today's product.
Hokey. Professional wrestling is hokey.
I understand that, but that gimmick match, I don't think holds up today. I don't think
I
you
don't
could,
agree. I don't agree. 2 years
you don't
ago,
have the character to do it. Bray Wyatt's
no,
gone. The
we don't
Undertaker's
know.
gone.
But if we had,
Yeah.
we don't know. But the Fiend could have pulled it off.
That's a great example. I think that the Fiend was something different and something fresh.
Dexter Loomis can pull it off.
Okay, Dexter Loomis, yeah. The Fiend, let's talk about the Fiend for a minute here. When he was doing the Firefly Funhouse was something that has never been done before.
Mhm.
His gimmick
The Fiend
was
different.
finally something fresh.
Yeah.
Right.
So why are we not capitalizing on that? And I'm not talking about WWE here. I'm just talking about wrestling. There's fresh,
Unfortunately, and I'm like you, I don't like to bash on WWE, but you have to shoot at WWE here because it's not professional wrestling that pushed Bray Wyatt out at his fucking peak. It is the WWE.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon and Nick Khan and whoever else behind him were the ones that said, "Hey, I know you're the biggest thing in the fucking world today. You're selling more T-shirts than anybody else, but buy."
Who did he lose the belt to?
You
just proved my fucking point.
Yeah.
I think that
I
goes
always tie it back to broken Matt Hardy. You had something great there in TNA, and then he comes to WWE, and then obviously WWE ruins it.
I think that's special circumstances. I do, because when he first got there, they weren't allowed using the gimmick right away. Mm-hmm. By the time they were allowed to use the gimmick, too much time had passed. It was going to be stale. They had to try to make it different. They weren't allowed using the word broken. They had to go woken.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to work. Had he
procured
the rights before he even showed up to WWE, if he showed up in WWE with the rights to broken Matt Hardy right away and he debuted as broken Matt Hardy,
no, it would have flopped. You can't. You have to debut him as
they did debut him with the Hardys.
Man, that pop, you can't take that moment away. That might be the greatest WrestleMania moment of all time.
It is a great WrestleMania moment. I'll give you that. But I'm just saying, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how to make the broken gimmick work in WWE, and that's the only way it would have worked.
See, I'll say that WWE, I'm going to kind of disagree with you. I think that they did the Hardy Boys great. I like that they came back and we got that nostalgia run, and then they went and did their own thing. But then we got broken Matt Hardy. It's like what AEW is doing with Punk right now. We're getting the little nostalgia. Hey, Punk's back. Let's all chant CM Punk, and now he's finally getting into a program, right? Mm-hmm. Like I like that use of it because it's taking something old and putting a new spin on it. I don't think that Vince understood the broken Matt Hardy thing, and I just don't think he was interested in it, to be honest.
I don't even think he understood the Fiend either.
These are bad booking calls on his part, but I would like to see some more creativity, and I don't think we can blame the writers for this anymore. I think it's got to be up to the talent to come up with something new, and you're seeing that with a guy like Matt Cardona right now. Matt Cardona has totally reinvented himself. And he's can't miss all the time. You're seeing this with Miro now.
It's also up to the promoters. Matt Cardona has the luxury now of working for a lot of promoters that want to hear what Cardona wants to do.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned.
And unfortunately, that's not what the WWE product is. The WWE product is no longer that product that wants to hear. I guarantee the days of what do you think? What do you want to do? Are long over in WWE.
They're gone.
Yeah,
Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't rise in this product now.
No, absolutely not.
But that and that's where what I like to call the Paul Heyman mentality, the ECW mentality, is alive and well in places like GCW, and I think AEW to a degree, not to the degree of GCW. and it's alive and well in Impact. I know for a fact that Scotty wants these guys to just do what they want to do.
They're doing Wrestle House again, like all that stuff's entertaining, right? I got to tip my cap to a guy like Jeff Hardy, though, who's still trying to create different match types. He pitched an idea that he had about the spinning ring. Now, does it sound like something I'd want to watch? No, I get dizzy watching.
It's ridiculous, but good for him.
He's trying to think of something new. Matt Hardy with that Woken Universe match, something different. Cinematic matches. There you go. Yeah. There's something new that has stuck, but got kind of fucked up a little bit with cinematic matches.
On paper, that first deletion match is ridiculous.
Yes.
Just fucking ridiculous. And even the first time, can anybody remember the first time they watched that, the reaction to it? Like mine was, what the fuck did I just watch?
Mm-hmm. I hated it at first.
And then I can't say I hated it, but I was very confused. I think
I hated it because I was confused. And then
I had that feeling of, I had the feeling I had when I walked out of the first Ghost Rider movie in the theater. I walked out thinking, did I like that?
Yeah.
That's and then after another viewing and after more of this story started to go, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So are cinematic matches maybe the way to go? Is that an option? Are these
because cinematic matches were
wrestling?
Not now at least. I think that was COVID.
I think that was a fad. I think it ended when it should have ended.
Yeah.
The best cinematic match WWE did and could have done was Undertaker versus AJ Styles.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do anything after that right now.
But could you build up to another? Would you be upset? Would you be upset?
Could it happen again? Could it happen again in WWE? 100%. But it can't be like they were doing it too much.
Well, that's the classic.
There was a cinematic match every other week.
Yeah, they did. They did it for like 4 weeks.
Velveteen Dream had a cinematic match. Yeah. Like it becomes too much.
But as
soon as we got that weird horror show, the swamp one, that whole pay-per-view was fucking question mark. As soon as it got there, it was like, okay, we've gone too far.
Would you guys be upset if there was a good? I'm going to use this as an example. It's a little bit of an extreme example, but it's topical right now. Hangman Page just had a huge build-up to win the AEW World Title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys have been upset if that title match was a cinematic match? If it didn't build to a normal match? I'm not going to use that match for example, but if they built a storyline like that had a big meaning to it, would you be upset if the blow-off came in a cinematic match?
Right now, with fans in the audience, 100% I would.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're ripping people off right there.
You're ripping the live audience off.
It made sense when you couldn't have people in the audience.
But you're only ripping your live audience off at that point.
Yeah, and I think the live audience is just
your television audience
as the home audience.
Yeah, but they can't sit there and watch something on the screen for 20 minutes.
But a crowd pop makes it so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's left best for a mid-card match. I'll take it in 1996, the Backlot Brawl.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That worked great because it was in the middle of the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
You put Sean and Brett in a fucking limo chase or a fucking in a white Bronco chasing down the highway. Doesn't make any fucking sense. It's stupid.
Yeah. Now there are ways so that you appease the live crowd, right? Like there are ways that you make it up to the live crowd, though. It's taped, right? So you can do a dark match that has those guys in it.
I stick with my answer. In now that we're back in regular era of wrestling, yes, there is a place for cinematic matches, but it's not in the main event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I would have to agree.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I do think that maybe cinematic matches I think they could be utilized better if they're kept sparingly, protect them.
Yeah,
100%. And if they start letting Jeremy Borash do them again, because he did them the best.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I think that pretty much is going to put a bow, as I like to say, on that topic. I think that was really good, guys. I really like the different opinions there. Nostalgia, and I'm not trying to hate on nostalgia. I love it.
It was actually the greatest segue I could imagine to go into this list tonight.
Yeah, let's bang out this list, man. I'm terrified what you're going to come up with.
I'm terrified from the matches I had to watch tonight.
Oh, you poor bastard. So this is going to be the top 7 worst gimmick matches of all time.
Yes.
We got a lot of best stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. And
I'm proving a point here tonight. I'm proving a point to every single person, whoever comes out and says that the Attitude Era was the greatest era of professional wrestling.
Oh, you're idiots if you say that.
I am here to tell you that 1999 was possibly the stupidest year in professional wrestling ever.
I'm with you. Well, don't keep us
So
waiting, man.
And we're going to start with my number 7 because we're going to fully loaded 1999. We're looking at Steve Blackman versus Ken Shamrock in an Iron Circle match. Anthony, have you ever seen this match?
I have not.
You're not
I've
missing
heard
Do
of
you
it
know
though.
what an Iron Circle match is?
With the guys that you mentioned, is it like an MMA style type thing?
It's
We
like
think-
in a
you know what?
parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're in a parking lot and there's a circle of cars.
So
And each car has a random wrestler, like Viscera is out there and the Godfather is out there, and they're all hooting and hollering and honking their horns the whole
Okay.
fucking match.
yeah, it's
And
kind of
it's
like
so-
the Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole match that they did. It was
Or
similar to
didn't
that.
Eddie and
I was
Cena
gonna
do one
say
of these?
that was the point I was gonna bring, is that there actually is a good match.
Yeah.
with and Eddie and Cena had a great one.
Well, I isolated it to this match,
Right.
is what I'm saying. Yeah. But this was horrible. It was. It was. There was nothing to write home about this match. 1.5 great wrestlers. I can't give Steve Blackman too much credit.
Had cheese.
But two good hands in the 90s trying to fight in a parking lot, and all because apparently Steve that's where Ken Shamrock used to fight before his MMA days. He used to go to parking lots and get in fights, and so that's where this came from. And it was annoying more than anything. All you hear is these guys just yelling because there's no crowd. They cut the crowd feed. You just hear the other wrestlers chant, cheering them on and constantly honking. My number 6.
Wait, before you move on to number 6, Shamrock got saddled with a bunch of these kind of shit matches around this time period too. He did that program with Owen Hart, which should have been good. I won't say what match they're in case they're on your list, but they could have been a lot better.
Go ahead, because I don't have any more Shamrock on my list.
He did though. Actually, the one match I liked was the dungeon
You're
match.
not talking about the line, like the one in the Hart basement.
I like the dungeon one.
I
That was
like that
cool,
too.
just because I'm a
Yeah.
mark for the Hearts. But the
Yeah.
follow up, the Lions Den match with the weird UFC cage that didn't work for me.
No. My number 6 hurts me to be on this match because as stupid as it is, on paper, it should have been something special. I just turned into something ridiculously and bad. But as a fan of something outside of the box, I like things outside of the box. I like thinking cool things. This should have worked. It just didn't. We're sticking in 1999, but we're going to Unforgiven, and we're doing the Kennel from Hell.
Oh, this is awful. Anthony, you know this one?
I've heard of this one. Yep.
This is
So-
this is the worst feud of all time.
So you got you got the blue barred cage surrounding the ring,
Mhm.
then the Hell in the Cell surrounding that, and in between you have a bunch of dog trainers with fucking Rottweilers on leashes.
Why did
and
they
they're
have dogs
pissing-
there, Mike?
And they're pissing and shitting everywhere.
Do you remember why they had dogs there?
Oh, I remember why they had dogs there.
I do too.
When this feud started because the boss man fed Al Snow his dead dog Pepper.
Did you catch the reference that the boss man put in there, the Mr. Fuji line?
I don't remember it, no.
He's like, oh, just like Mr. Fuji. Do you know why he mentioned that?
Because Fuji fed a dead dog to somebody once. Yeah.
There is a story. I don't know if it was a worker or a neighbor. I don't know who it was. It might
I
have been
think it was
Fuji.
a worker.
It was. I've heard both. I've heard it was either
I don't know
Fuji's
why I'm
neighbor.
thinking it's Don Morocco.
I don't think it was Morocco, but it was either Mr. Fuji's neighbor or like some worker that had an attitude, and I want to say it was the neighbor because Fuji ended up taking this guy's dog and killing him and cooking it and feeding it to this guy. That's a real story.
Christ.
This was in like the
Oh my God.
70s. Like, yeah, that's a pretty fucked up rib, man.
Very fucked up.
Yeah.
They don't call him the king of ribs for nothing.
That's nothing to be king about. That's bad.
No.
I don't like that one.
Yeah, that's
Now that I'm a
bad
dog
one.
owner, I don't like that one.
But this match, like I said, listen, I like the idea. I really do like the idea of the two cages and something dangerous between the cages. I like that idea. And yet you have to escape the one cage and get through that danger factor and escape the other cage to win. I like that. It's a cool idea. And the idea of putting dangerous dogs in the middle, all right, it could have, should have worked, I guess. But instead of just letting the dogs go, they're restrained. They have trainers holding them back. And the minute they walk into the cage, they start pissing and shitting all over the place. At one point, I'm pretty sure two dogs were fucking in the corner.
Yeah, they were humping. And
yeah, like it did not work at all.
I'm the opposite. I hate this match because to me, a cage match, it's supposed to keep you in the cage. I hate escape cage.
Yeah. We can argue about this all day long. You and I disagree on this, but that's not the point of this.
We have a third party.
This was not a cage.
We can just keep putting Anthony on the spot and make him choose all night.
Yeah, exactly.
Anthony's like, I really wish that I was.
Okay,
not
listen.
here.
Even if I agree with you, the rules of a cage match. This was not a cage match. This was a kennel from hell match.
Move on to the next. I don't want to talk about this match anymore.
Moving on to number 5, we're going to TNA.
You can make a whole fucking list of TNA
matches God.
Here.
We're hitting lockdown. I forget what year, to be perfectly honest. It doesn't fucking matter. We're talking about Team 3D versus LAX in an electric steel cage match.
I'm surprised this isn't your number one. This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
This is the cheesiest shit. People, including myself, people shit all over fucking Moxley and Omega in their fucking barbed wire match. This makes that thing look like something from All Japan. Like this is ridiculous.
Have you heard of this one, Anthony?
No, I have not heard of this
the
one.
Dudley Boys against who were they against? LAX?
It was LAX. It was Homicide and Ortiz.
And it was the cage match was electrified. So all that meant was that they played a cheesy like sound.
Oh, Christ.
And then they turned the light switch off and on.
Yeah, and then if you hit the cage, they just flickered the lights on and off, and they sold like they were dead. It was awful. The whole crowd was chanting "Fire Russo."
The fans
really? No way.
Russo.
I don't even think he was the writer at the time. I can't remember. But
he's sitting at home like, bro,
that's Anthony's boy. We can't.
That's my boy.
I'm going to tell you right now. I can tell you. I'm pretty sure 6 of the 7 matches on this list were written by Vince Russo.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and then I didn't. I said I rewatched a lot of these matches. I did not rewatch this match. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
I will tell you the worst spot in the match.
I think it was the finish, but Bubba Ray Dudley ends up getting electrocuted, and his sell for it was the worst thing you've ever seen. It's so fucking bad. Like just bad acting.
Didn't Homicide put on a pair of gloves to climb the cage?
Yeah.
Like these magical gloves are going to stop him from getting electrocuted.
My number 4.
This is why we don't do worst of shows, by the way. I'm getting just fired up over here.
Well, you want to talk about fire up? We're going to Jay and Tyrone's favorite era of wrestling, WCW 2000.
Oh fuck! If I have to edit another Good Friends Better Enemies podcast from WCW 2000, I'm gonna rip my ears off. Their rebooking of it is good, but even they can't save that talent roster. Holy fuck!
This place on my list could have been a Viagra on a pole match. It could have been a Pinata on a pole match. It could have been the San Francisco 49ers pole match. But instead, I've chosen to go to New Blood Rising 2000. We're doing Judy Bagwell on a pole. Thank
Best
you,
of all the
Vince
pole
Russo.
matches. I thought you were going to put the Canadian rules match on here as well, which was same pay-per-view.
This beats it. This is just, I mean,
you're never going to hear about New Blood Rising, Anthony, on any edition of Classic Match Classroom. It might be one of the worst pay-per-views of all time.
They call it, it's a bad match when already Vince Russo's pole matches are always bad. But when they call it a Judy Bagwell on the pole match and they don't have a pole,
yeah, they put her on a forklift.
Okay? They put her on a fucking forklift. Now I got questions for you because you, Tyler, because you have better memories than that. Now I should say, by the way, to Anthony, this match is a match between Buff Bagwell and Positively Canyon, which was the gimmick name Chris Canyon was using at the time.
This gimmick actually was awesome. Can we just take a minute?
I remember very little about this time, so you got to fill me in here, Tyler.
So
what the hell was Canyon's gimmick right now?
I'm really happy to talk about this.
Why was he using DDP's gimmick?
Okay,
because he comes out to DDP's music. He uses the diamond cutter. He's aligned with David Arquette, who also used DDP's music. What's going on?
So basically, DDP had just written a wrestling book called Positively Page, right? And Canyon and DDP were in a feud, and Canyon just took his identity. And it was actually amazing TV. Like, he'd have this like blonde like wig on, and like he would just walk around and nail people with the diamond
he wore
cutter.
A hard hat for some reason.
Yeah, he just would walk around though, and he would just hit people with a diamond cutter from out of nowhere and be like, bang! But
he called it a canyon cutter.
The canyon cutter.
The canyon cutter.
But like, it wouldn't just be in the ring though. Like, you know, when they do like those outside shots of like the building coming back from commercial, like they would be doing that. We're coming back, and you would just see a little tiny canyon like run on the bottom of the screen and lay out like a normal person. Like, oh my God, canyon! Like, he was just hitting everybody with the canyon cutter. It was highly entertaining TV to watch. And this feud started because he nailed Judy Bagwell with the canyon cutter. Sadly, this is not the worst Buff Bagwell gimmick match that you could have mentioned, and I guarantee you forgot about this one. But it was from Halloween Havoc, and it was the DNA match, where it was technically a first blood match, where they called it a DNA match because they were trying to find out who got, I think, Stacy Keibler pregnant. And it was I think it was David Flair and Buff Bagwell or something. And
that's got Russo written all over.
Like the finish was them taking a plastic bag and wiping it on the head, so they had their DNA. Like,
oh God,
was that 2000?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. My God. Well, for my number 3, I'm going to stick with WCW, but I'm going to leave 2001 for a minute. I'm going to go back to 95. Excuse me. Uncensored 1995 to be exact.
Yeah, I thought this would be your number 1 too.
We're going to Dustin Rhodes versus the Blacktop Bully in a King of the Road match.
Anthony, have you ever heard of
anything about this at all?
I've seen this match, yes.
Okay.
You've seen this match.
Yeah.
Anthony, what do you think about this match, Anthony? I need to know your opinion on this match.
It's fucking bad.
Okay, let me break this down. This is supposed to be one of the most dangerous matches WCW's ever done. They're wrestling on hay. Okay? They're wrestling on pillows, for fuck's sake. Then they're like, they start climbing to like the outer area of that.
Tell them what they're fighting on.
Well, they're fighting. Yes, anyone who hasn't seen this match, they're fighting in the back of an 18-wheeler.
That's moving. It's driving down the highway.
Moving.
Legit, as a shoot, like.
And it looks horrible. The video is horrible. And here's the thing: they taped this a week before the pay-per-view. There's no reason why they should have made air. They should have been like, okay, this looks like shit. Let's just stop the truck and we'll fight. And we'll do the match without it moving.
Are you're telling me that this was taped a week before the pay-per-view? Like, are you 100% sure of that?
Yes. At least days before the pay-per-view.
So this wasn't shot live?
No, absolutely not.
Oh my God. Okay. Finish your thing, and then I have this massive rant to go on then.
Okay. And that's why you'll notice that later on, a bunch of shots are taken of like other things because both Blacktop and Dustin bladed, and they weren't supposed to. This is 1995. WWE is still trying to be a family product. They don't want blood on their on their product. Both guys bladed.
This is my rant. They fired these guys after this match
the very next day.
Really?
It was pre-recorded. Just fucking don't air it and don't fire them. Like,
yeah. So Bischoff is in charge of this one. So it's Bischoff is pissed. So here's what they do: instead of just like not airing it, half the fucking match you don't even see the wrestlers. They're just showing other fucking things.
They're shooting from a helicopter.
And the commentators are doing half the work for the wrestlers. Every time there's a somewhat of a wrestling move, they'll show it, but they don't want to show any fucking blood. So like what is wrong with the production team? If they had days to say, yeah, fuck this match, but they said no, they still played it and they still fired these two guys. Ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
This match was taped beforehand and they still fired them. Because
No,
they aired it on the network.
We're gonna play your shitty match, and then we're gonna fire you for it.
Oh, there's blood on here. Fuck, we're not supposed to bleed. The network's gonna be pissed. But you know what though? Fuck the network. It was on pay-per-view. You could like,
Yeah.
fuck. At least we got Gold Dust out of this because Dustin got fired and became.
Dustin got
Gold
fired and with WWE. Yeah.
They rehired Darso after. Do you know who Blacktop Bully is, Anthony?
No, I don't.
He's Smash from Demolition.
Also the Repo Man.
Also the Repo Man.
there you
Hole in
go.
One Barry Darso. The Russians. Yeah. Oh yeah. I love me some Barry Darso.
No one had more gimmicks than Barry Darso.
That's Kerr's favorite. That's my buddy Kerr's favorite wrestler of all time. Hole in One Barry Darso. He used to. Have you ever heard of Hole in One Barry Darso, Anthony?
No.
It's the whole show. I just love this. Hole in One Barry Darso used to fight only on WCW Saturday night. They would never put him on the main show, but he would come out with he was like a golfer, but he would just be like a mini putter, and he would bring out one of those like greens that you putt into, and he would just challenge people to putting contests every week. But he would never golf. Like the people would miss it. He'd be like, "I'm the winner," and then he would get hit, or he would lay out like somebody if they hit the shot.
Yeah.
Like. They never fought. It was the greatest.
How have I
gimmick of all
never
time.
heard of that gimmick before?
Hole in
That's
One Barry
fucking
Darso,
amazing.
buddy. Put him
Big
in
Hole
the
in
Darso.
One
boys.
Barry Darso.
He's in the
I think
boys squad.
Darso's the only
boys.
man with more gimmicks than Steve Lombardi.
Possibly. He's
Yeah.
up there. Yeah, he's a boy.
So if this match is my number 3, that can just
Oh,
speak
fuck,
volumes.
there's still 2 left.
of what we have left. We're going to 2006 for my number 2, and we're going back to TNA. We're doing so fucking stupid. We're doing the reverse battle royal.
Yes, I was waiting for
I
this
was
one.
really hoping this was going to be on your list. Like they took a match
let-
idea that nobody likes. Like battle royals suck. Let's be real. Like they're like battle royals are
Like battle
terrible.
royals.
They're not
I like
good
that
though.
one.
Like you don't ever be like, oh man, this battle royal was a great fucking match. Like, yeah, it's fun to watch 20 guys in the ring, but they're all boring. Punch, 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 dump out the jobbers, couple spots at the end, 2 heels, 1 face. There's your finish. Boom, right? It's the same shit. Then they're like, let's take a match that really is kind of boring and nobody likes, and let's make it worse.
Yeah. So they're doing this fucking weird tournament, right? The tournament itself is fucking confusing as shit. But this is the first round of this tournament, I guess. And whoever wins this match, this 3-part match, directly goes to the finals of the tournament. So it starts with 18 men around the ring, and it doesn't end until 7 men are in the ring. So it's 18 men beating the shit out of each other outside the ring. And then 7 guys get in the ring. Listen, I'm here. You got me at this point. If
You're
7
better
guys
man
get in
than
the
I
ring,
am.
if you were going to do it where it's like, okay, you have 18 men, let 8 guys get in the ring, and those 8 guys, they're in the tournament. If you would have ended it like that, I would be like, okay, cool. I get it. Reverse Battle Royal. Good for you. It wouldn't have made this list. But it didn't fucking end there. Now that these 7 men are in the ring, now it's a regular battle royal
Jesus.
until
Yep.
there's two men left. Now there's 2 men left, and now it's a wrestling match.
The sad thing is they've done this match more than once.
Did they
fuck,
really?
Are you serious?
I think they did it a couple
I
times.
only know about this particular one.
I've only heard about
2006.
this one.
Maybe I'm
The
wrong.
one I'm
but
talking about is the one that did this one.
I can't remember. I'm sure they've done at least 2 of these.
I would be
Oh,
surprised.
fuck. Listen, TNA's done some weird fucking shit. And I commend them for thinking outside the box half the time, even though half of it doesn't work. But this was fucking stupid. Just plain fucking dumb. But
Yep.
not as dumb as my number 1.
Yeah, we're finally at the number 1.
Oh, you're going to be mad at me.
I'm already mad at you for this entire list.
Yeah.
You're going to be mad at me because I think you like this match.
What is it?
'Cause you-
1997 Hell in a Cell? Because that's Anthony's least favorite match of all time.
This is a match we talked about a little over a year ago on this podcast, you and I, on one of our Halloween Havoc episodes. We're going to Halloween Havoc 1991 with the Chamber of Horrors.
This match was not good. It's funny, but this match, the reverse battle royal was worse than this.
Really?
I mean, well, maybe not. Elegante
Anthony,
was in
have you
this
seen
match.
this match?
I've never seen
This is the one where they electrocute Abdul the Butcher in the middle
Okay,
of the
so
ring.
I've seen that moment.
Let
but
me break this down, okay? This match is an 8-man tag match. So
okay.
you got Sting, El Gigante, who you might know better as Giant Gonzalez,
Giant Gonzalez.
and then the Steiner brothers
Okay.
versus Cactus Jack, who wasn't even on the card until a minute before this fucking match came out. Abdullah the Butcher, Big Van Vader, and the Diamond Stud, who you would know as Scott Hall. Then there's a fucking cage.
They're in the Thunderdome cage, which is a.
Yes,
Did you ever
right.
see any highlights from '97's Hogan versus Piper cage match at Halloween Havoc? It's like this really flimsy.
Oh yeah.
It's like that flimsy, shitty cage. Like it just looks like you could push it over.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they're in.
And then above the cage, there's another little cage with a fucking electric chair in the cage. And it stays up there for 10 minutes before they decide to lower it down.
I just like when they brought it down, it almost squished Cactus Jack. Like that was the spot.
Now, one of the silliest fucking moments of this thing is this is the first time they used the referee cam.
Oh yeah, Nick Patrick.
You know
wearing
what?
a hockey.
Do you know what this is, Anthony?
No.
This is a WCW invention. The referee. That's, I believe, was it Nick Patrick?
Yeah, Nick Patrick was just
Was it
wearing a
Nick
hockey
Patrick
helmet.
wearing a fucking hockey helmet
Oh my
with
god.
a fucking camera taped to it? Yeah.
In
So
theory,
everyone-
it doesn't sound that bad, but in practice,
Every
I'm sure
once
it was
in a
fucking
while, they
awful.
would switch over to the referee, and then you're getting Nick Patrick's POV as he's in the fucking ring. And halfway through the match, Jim Ross completely forgets about that gimmick. And then they go to the referee, and he goes, "Oh, looks like one of our cameramen really grew a set and got in that ring." I'm like, what? No, it says right on the screen, referee, Jim.
You have to get to the finish because it's absurd.
All right. This is as absurd as it would have been anyways. They just make it more absurd by it being nonsensical and stupid. So Steiner, it's Rick Steiner fighting with Abdullah. They get in the mini cage. Abdullah's getting Steiner into the fucking chair. Motions to Cactus to throw the switch. Cactus Jack gets up and he grabs the switch and he's looking out the fan. He still has his fucking hand on the switch, but for 5 fucking minutes, he's looking out the fans, just fucking doing nothing. And that gives time for Rick Steiner to switch places with Abdullah. Takes Rick Steiner 5 fucking minutes to strap Abdullah down to his chair. And then finally, Cactus Jack, without ever looking behind him to make sure that his boy is still, that Rick Steiner's still the guy in the chair, Cactus Jack throws the switch and electrocutes his own teammate.
You missed the best part.
What's the best part?
When Cactus Jack climbed up to the switch, it had fallen down already, and he had to put it back up. Fuck you, WCW. Fuck you, Mike, for putting me through this.
It's almost about the time that match with Booker T, where they had that title in a box.
That's the worst match ever.
And the title fell out. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dave Penzer picked it up and should have been the world champion. Friend of the show, Dave Penzer. Do you have honorable mentions? I can't. Do you have honorable mentions? I can't do this anymore.
I'm not going to lie to you. I couldn't bring myself to make honorable mentions.
It's probably
I felt nauseous after making this list.
I'm sure I could come up with 100. I can't do it. Anthony, I want you to know that normally we do a really good podcast, okay? This is awful.
I listen to your show every week. It seems a lot better than it was this week. I don't know.
It's Anthony's
expectation, reality.
I'll tell you what. I want to make this up to you, okay, Anthony? Because I promise you that we do good things. I want you to come on our year-end show, okay?
Okay.
Because it's the best of the year.
Now, here's a question for you, Anthony. This is serious. Since we're talking about gimmick matches, would the 97 Hell in a Cell been better for you if it was a Punjabi prison match?
You know what? I honestly don't hate the Punjabi prison.
Oh my god! This show has gone off the rails.
Hey, maybe that would allow Shawn and Taker to not fight in one fucking corner of the cage for 15 minutes. Maybe they'll go into maybe they'll fight in one corner, another cage. Fucking Kane will have to rip down 2 doors.
Jesus.
Maybe it should have been a kennel from hell. Who knows?
True.
The man of 1,000 podcasts is going to scratch one off of his list now. Anthony's never coming back. He's never going to want to come back on our show after this week.
It's over.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna come up with a list next week that I'm gonna redeem this, Mike. We're never doing a worst of list again. I can't handle it.
I love worst of lists because we always feel like shit afterwards. It's so funny.
I was already having a bad enough night, and then I was like,
I feel bad because we did promise Tyrone that we'd bring him on the next time we did a worst of list.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, because Tyrone there's something about Tyrone because he always chooses to do WCW 2000 on his show. So there's something about Tyrone and bad wrestling.
Oh, I'm sitting that week out. I want to do a show with Tyrone because I love Tyrone, but I can't handle you and Tyrone. No, actually, I will be there because I'm not leaving you two unsupervised alone.
Oh, it would be bad.
It would be bad.
That'd be like leaving me and Danny.
Never gonna happen. Yeah. Anthony, thank you for being a sport tonight. Thank you for listening to us talk about Barrie Wrestling for a while. Fantastic insight you gave us on the nostalgia conversation. That was one of my favorite topics we've done so far.
Hell yeah.
And I apologize for the abomination of our list this week, which was actually a very well put together list. It was your list. You nailed all the good stuff. So as far as a worst list goes, it was the best worst thing that we could have done. Let the people know, Anthony, where they can find you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, of course, thank you for having me on as always. If you want to hear more of my voice, you can go ahead, log on to @the Titantron podcast on Instagram, at the _Titantron on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find me all over the place. Go ahead and follow the Turnbuckle Tavern anywhere that you could find those guys doing some amazing content. I host the Raw Down, which is the weekly show where we debate what was better, Raw or SmackDown. Spoiler, it was neither. But so many other things that you could listen to, especially something that I am proud, and myself and the professor are proud to announce right here on Counted Out 7, is that we are finally bringing back, after our long recess period, the Classic Match Classroom is making a return to your ears. We have a lot of different shows that we have lined up, new software, but the same fucks that you listen to every single week. And I know, I get it.
You couldn't make one change.
Yeah.
Hey, who's going to teach him stuff?
But
somebody who knows what they're talking about.
You know what?
Google.
I use a lot of logic on this show.
Stop using that word.
Mike taught me a word. Mike says that I don't use logic a lot in life. So now I just say the word logic when I don't know what to do, and it makes sense.
Sounds right. If you do want to follow Classic Match Classroom and hear our future episodes that will be coming to your ears in the very near future, you can go ahead and follow us at Classic Match Classroom on Instagram, at CM Classroom on Twitter, not to be confused with CM Punk. We're on YouTube, Spotify, a bunch of different places. And I hope that you enjoy the future episodes that the Professor and the Prodigy will provide to you. And of course, once again, thank you for having me on.
And all that can be found where, Mike?
That's www.countedout7.com. Barrie Wrestling, get it right. Oh,
They may or may not have advertised our website wrong.
Man, I'm jealous of you guys. I think I got to start a sideshow with Danny.
No. Mike and Danny are not allowed to be together.
I mean, we're the OGs.
Yeah, of WrestleMedia.
But before there was Counted Out, there was the lasting march. We had like 3 listeners. It was amazing.
That's 2 more than we've got after this episode.
After we spent the show talking about the fucking reverse battle royal.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Well, but you know, Adam's in the corner jerking off because I guarantee he loved no less than 5 matches on my list.
That's why we love Adam.
Adam loves weird wrestling, which is why I love him. Before we wrap it up, I want to give one last thanks to everybody at Barrie Wrestling, Sean, all the crew, everybody who treats us like fucking gold over there. Thank you for having us. Thank you for letting us be part of your experience. And the guys at the OIW network.
Yeah, they're great guys too.
Yeah, they've been gracious enough to really promote our show. They can. Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me. Next week we'll promote their webpage because I think they're
www.oiw.com. I think.
Thank you very much. I didn't know it was that simple.
I could be wrong.
Okay, but we saw the two brains behind it. Two of the brains. I shouldn't say the 2 brains. 2 of the brains behind the network on the weekend. Curtis and Brian, great guys. Do a lot of good stuff for us. Took a lot of great footage of us for the weekend. Very talented photographers. So thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you, Barrie Wrestling, and thank you, listeners. If
www.oiwpodcastnetwork.carrd.co.
Ooh, they got to do something about that.
Oh, yeah.
We will put a link to that on countedout7.com, and you can find them there.
Yeah, that's easy.
All right. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, take us home, Mike, before I jump out of a building.
On behalf of our good friend, the Prodigy, we have been Counted Out.
Cheers.